Dealer Tech Tuesdays is brought to you by VTech Dealer IT, guaranteeing your dealership premier reliability, stability, and customer support. Transform your Tuesdays into a powerhouse of growth. Contact us at www.vtechdealerit.com. Hi, my name is John Acosta. I'm the CEO of VTech Dealer IT. Today on the podcast, we have the CEO of Axel Automotive, Prasad Chavali. We're going to be talking about AI, the future of data analytics, and how you can keep more money in the bucket and keep profitability high for your dealership. Prasad,
yes,
welcome, man.
Thank you.
I know we've been working on this for a little while to get this conversation going on, kind of what's going on in the data world, what's going on in AI, what's going on in dealerships, and our partnership as an organization. You know how that's working is really exciting. And I keep getting people asking, like, where did Axel Automotive come from? So can you tell me a little bit about the story of where the company originated from?
Yeah, it's funny. We started talking before AI came into the forefront.
You're one of the OGs of AI. You're like, you studied AI and...
No, but when we started talking about, hey, the data, how do we protect the data? AI wasn't even in the conversation.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah. So Axel Automotive, it's funny. I was looking at my original deck from 2019. We were going to build a negotiating agent, like online negotiator.
Okay.
I still have the deck where during the nighttime, when somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to buy the car. So we start building this algorithm. If I want to get rid of this car or I want to sell it, how can I negotiate with some data parameters to kind of get them to commit to it? And that's what I pitched to somebody, because we were working on this platform that has a lot of integrations. So like, how can we take advantage of the data? And then COVID came and there was no cars to negotiate. Oh. And we're like, okay, it's a cool name. We have the concept. We have all the data points. So what do we do? And so we kind of went back and said, things are going to come back when people need to start looking at the data to make decisions and how many cars they have. And we expected that to happen around the end of 21.
Okay.
So we started going back to the drawing board, and one of the guys said, maybe we should look at service side.
Okay.
Instead of buying cars. So we originally named our product Service Max or Slipstream.
Okay.
Where we can look at all the data on the service side,
yeah,
the ROs, the customer, and all that stuff, and start building a maximizing the service revenue side.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we started adding that, I was like, okay, the inventory is coming back. Maybe we need to have the sales side. And then the data started actually adding up. We went after fixed ops data and then sales side. And then one of the guys said, we still don't have really good metrics on our financial performance. I was like, all right, let's add the financial data.
Oh, wow.
And then this whole CDP conversation is like, oh, do you have a CDP or do you have a customer data? And then we look back and go, why don't we just get everything? So then we did a tech stack survey. I had my guys go through some of the newsletters and, list every vendor and all that. There were about 300, 400. Remember, like even Steve Greenfield puts that newsletter.
Yeah.
So we, like 300, 400, between 300 to 400 pieces of software. I said, so where is all this data? So I started talking to a customer and said, do you know where all your sources are? And he said, I think about 17 different ones. And I said, and do you have access to all that? And he's like, okay, let me see. And then that's when I said, okay, we have a product where if we can bring all that together for the dealer, not for us, where they feel like I have my hands around it, I thought there's a value. And some people said, no, nobody's going to pay for their own data again. I said, they're paying for their data multiple times to give it to vendors. Why wouldn't you pay it once to get it in one place and then not having to worry about where it is? So it was a real tough sell in 2020 and 21 because people were like still like, okay, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Are we going to have enough cars to sell? Are we going to make chips again? All these conversations were in place. And that actually gave us some time to build in framework together.
Mm.
And then the first customer that signed up was in 21 as a concept. We still let it bits and pieces, but it hasn't come
Yeah.
together really together. And he said, okay, he said, how many days do you think we will see our first data? And I said, 6 weeks. And he said, we've been working on this for 8 months. If you show me data in 6 weeks or 8 weeks, I'll be your fan.
Oh, geez. That's amazing.
Because they had their own internal data warehouse project.
Like somebody doing a data lake with Power BI or okay.
Exactly. Power BI, 3 developers, all the APIs themselves,
Makes sense.
put it in a cloud. But the APIs wasn't the problem. And once they have the data, they were all programmers, right? Then the CFO will go, can I get my trial balances data? They're like,
what's that?
you need to tell us where that data
Yeah.
is. So they will go. So he was really frustrated that I'm paying this many developers. I'm getting the data, but it is not just in a usable format. So we showed the data in about 4 to 6 weeks time frame, and all of a sudden put the first 5 reports from the data. And at that point, he said, can I buy your company?
What were the first 5 data reports that they were starving to get?
Nightly summary.
Okay.
This was a group that had 20 stores. So every night, every general manager were texting how many they did that day, right?
They have a group chat of text messages going back and forth, everybody saying the nightly summary.
Exactly. And then somebody was putting it in a spreadsheet, but when you text it or when you email on the phone, you can't open up the spreadsheet. So the owner is like, I need a group view and individual store view. So that was the first report we went after.
So nightly summary, group view, and then
individual
store view. Okay.
Because as an owner, I want to see my group,
or compare the Ford stores to the Ford stores and the Toyota stores to the Toyota stores.
But we send an individual sheet for each GM too.
Oh, okay.
So each GM is getting that individual sheet.
Yeah.
And there's a combined sheet for the group. And as soon as that report came in, the next one is, what are the 3 things that I'm looking after? Okay, what's my service contract administration?
Yep.
And he was selling another product called Magic Jack. I can't remember the product name. He said, I want to know how many of those we sold each day.
Okay.
So that report started going from, okay, here is your summary. Okay, now here is your contract penetration. Here is your magic touch or whatever that product penetration. So that email started getting longer and longer, the nightly summary. And then the fixed guy came and said, how come I can't get a summary nightly? Because they go back next day, look up all the postings. So the first 5 reports obviously ended up being the sales summary, service summary, kind of like a inventory summary, my traffic, things like that. Basic things that everybody assumes that, people should be. But it is amazing, even in 2026, how much of that data is still being aggregated manually from a lot of guys.
And prone to errors and prone to compounding errors because they're putting on an Excel spreadsheet and they're, messing up the formulas, and then it ends up being way off.
And the timing. Some of the groups was like, if we get this report out by 10:30 in the morning, great. This is for yesterday's data, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody's sitting in the night, crunching all these numbers and go, here is your report first thing. And there's always one guy didn't fill out his store, like 10:30, he will call and say, hey, how come you don't have your number? Oh, I'm out selling cars.
Yeah.
I'm not at the desk. Then they had to find somebody else to kind of put the numbers together. So that's when we said, okay, Axel, the one name didn't come until later, the Axel one as our product. We were like thinking Axel Automotive, Axel Data, Axel Mining, Axel Extract. We were kind of trying to figure out what's our identity, what's our lane.
Yeah.
And then the name actually came from somebody else, one of my customers. So you guys put all the data in one place? And I'm like, yeah, that's what we do.
That makes all the sense in the world.
And it's like, so I can go to one place where I can see all the data. And then, we come back and said, I think we should call our product Axel One.
Yeah.
Because that's one place that you're going to go to get your data, your reports and all that stuff. And that's the whole history of how the product evolved.
You what you just said about, I got too busy on updating my spreadsheets. Like, how can you manage an organization first on inconsistency, right? That the dealer principal has so many fires and they're playing whack-a-mole, right? And how do you have the instrument cluster of flying the plane rather than doing an autopsy report that's 45 days later, right? That, and I name him a lot, and he's part of our organization, is Paul Jensen. Paul Jensen they were managing 16 stores, and they were doing spreadsheets. They were keying in spreadsheet for 16 stores. And then a dealer principal was 45 days later looking at data that was ancient, right? It's ancient history. So how do you manage an organization with a 45-day lag time? And when I'm like looking at this stuff, and I don't want to make this an infomercial, right? I want to make this a real conversation about data.
Yeah.
Like the days today is, we got to see what happened yesterday, right? And what that cadence looks like.
And then especially if you look at it on a first of the month, or, what'd you do as of last night?
Yeah.
And people are still putting in the deals. They might have been working until 9:00 in the night.
Yeah.
Some are still on the desk. And you get some kind of a estimate. And then they're all like, oh, yeah, I put together 50 deals, for the month. Because there's a big variance between 45 and 55.
Yeah, there's a big variance.
If you're
on pacing, on everything.
So what is the exact number? And also the other thing that very interesting in this one is it actually exposed a few of the operational issues.
Correct. Yeah.
So what's the data is going to do? All of a sudden it's like, hey, well, why am I seeing only 47? I thought you said 50, and then where are those three? And we're already like, let's see where those three are.
Yeah.
Well, we sold it. The car's out of the lot, but nobody put it in on deal sheet.
Yeah. Or it's like, we had to unwind that deal. That's a next month deal. That's for this month. And it ends up getting fuzzy, funky math.
And so I will tell you, the first 2 weeks we sent that nightly summary report, I would say half the people said that report is incorrect. Everybody's like, hey, my store's information is incorrect. So the proof of burden was on us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I had to go store by store. What do you think you're saying? Because data doesn't lie, right?
No,
and I said, I'm pulling from the actual DMS.
Yeah.
And then we realized, okay, you're in Texas, you're in West Coast, so we need to start adjusting the timing. Oh, yeah, we were here until 9:00, last night. So, we'll give you a 9:00, the store time zone, and then run the report. And then it started, making that difference smaller and smaller. And then one store is like, oh, we don't put in into the deal until we have the pay, something like that. We don't book the deal, or it's delivered.
Yeah.
It's still in pending. It's like, how will anybody know?
Yeah.
It is still in pending. So amazingly, the owner sent a memo to all the GMs and say, I want the nightly report to be accurate. I want you to close out to you by 9:00.
Yeah.
And if you didn't actually deliver the vehicle, it's okay, put it in the next day. But don't tell me like, hey, I sold 15.
Yeah.
Well, 2 are going to be picked up tomorrow. Are they today or are they tomorrow?
Yeah.
So that's when it's like the data is like, the whole conversation is, why is data important in one place? Whenever you're trying to look at the data and then say, I'm going to make some decisions, or I'm going to change my flow, that's when it starts come handy.
Yeah.
It's not just there to sit on or, just run some KPIs and, put it on a dashboard, right? Which we do, but, where is it going to start impacting data?
The part that I'm really impressed by is the contextual data. It's like when you see the numbers show up in 4 or 5 different places, then the number's accurate, or as close to accurate as possible, that you don't see these outliers that are happening. And it's like the power of context of having all the information in one place is like, I think that's the revolutionary part. It's consistent, it's the one source of truth, and that you have the power of context. You have those 3 things that you can say, okay, now with confidence, I don't have to go into firefighting mode. I can go into managing mode because I have the data. And some of the best operators that I know manage through spreadsheets. But they have to go in and they have to key in all the spreadsheets. They know their number to like $10 off or to the dollar of where they're going to land at the end of the month. But they still have to do that process of doing that. Like, what's the resistance? What's the resistance that you guys are coming across that are saying those numbers aren't right, or like you're getting arrows because it exposes operational deficiencies in the organization? Like, what are those patterns that you see in the dealership a lot?
The first thing, obviously, they will say the numbers are they accurate, right? So we had to show that we're getting are real, are like validated. In last year and a half, we had to spend a lot of time on that data validation team in the middle. The point you made, once we're confident, anybody can call us and say, hey, this report is incorrect. Then we'll say, okay, let's go, because we have very 99.9% confidence that our data is validated to a certain extent. There's always some errors, data file didn't load and things like that. But the confidence factor, initially we used to be like on our heels saying that, they're questioning this report.
Yeah.
Because since they know their business inside out, maybe they're accurate, they're correct.
I think that assumption of they know their business inside out isn't correct. It's like, how could you possibly know your business inside out? Because everybody's protecting their thief.
Like you said, they've been using these spreadsheets for a while, right?
Of course.
So you are institutionalized to believe your spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And you're operating based on that, you're making decisions based on that. So the resistance is definitely the person or, a few people that are updating the spreadsheets are kind of scared to kind of change the process.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you're now telling me that I need to do something different. Like, am I going to rely on your report to order the cars now? But as soon as you find a really good champion, the data champion, it could be like a CFO, it could be a very progressive owner or somebody, and he goes, no, we're going to trust in this number and let's kind of get to it. And then as soon as they push that, everything else starts falling in place.
Yeah, it's like the train, once it's on the track, starts getting
exactly
getting straight.
And that's one of our challenges is to find that product champion. I know you guys do that for us for a few of the dealerships. Once you look at the value and go, I'm going to be implementing Axel, and everything else is just a fair game from that point.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what do you want to do now?
So the thing that I'm like that I'm noticing is, the best product in the world can't survive a bad implementation.
Yeah.
And so like how those implementations go in, because you see resistance across the board and they're like protecting their little areas and they don't want to be exposed and they don't want the information to be out there. And so there's like, I don't know how else to call it, but throwing sticks in the spokes, of making those implementations happen. So having the champion that's going to be like, no, we're doing this. We're burning the boats. We're doing this because we're doing this. And that just creates all the momentum in the world. If you could say my ideal project champion, what would that person look like in the dealership?
In fact, this was part of our evolution initially. There were multiple people that were the champions. Yeah. Nobody will take ownership. And then the 2 or 3 failures we had early in implementations were because of that.
Yeah.
And so now it's almost like we asked that it's the first question, who's going to be my product champion?
Yeah.
And in some cases, the dealer principal said I would be the champion. And we were surprised, because he believes in it. And there were a couple that actually do that still, not huge groups, but 2 to 5 stores, and say, I'm the one requesting this product because I want to feel comfortable. And when you get those as product champion, his assistants and everybody will do, all the work that we need to get done. So far, I think a CFO or a dealer principal or like even some of them have training people like our data people that they know everything, who to get access to. The latest information I'm doing, she's actually in marketing, but she worked with the GMs before. She knows who to contact to kind of get there. She's you're in marketing, but you're helping us with Axel One, and it's working out really great because the person that is connected to and everybody's like, hey, why are you doing this? Well, the GM said to do this, or the dealer principal said, we should do it.
Yeah.
And then everything falls in line. So that primary contact point that understands who are signed the contract's vision is really the key.
Yeah. And I think on that solid base of adoption and then of context with data that's already been organized, like you can implement some really strong initiatives based on solid data, right? Mm-hmm. And I know you were just recently at a SotoCon and everybody's talking about AI, and we were talking, I know you brought up something about cybersecurity that we're very much involved with, and having those conversations of what PII is leaking into this world. What are your thoughts on that world, especially you? And tell me a little bit about your AI background, because I know you're one of the originals on the AI side. So tell me about that, and then let's go down the AI side.
My AI project was in 1995.
Okay.
That was my master's thesis. We had to submit a project, and they said, go do this project in AI. And I was like, we all had a Terminator 2 or Terminator movie, and Skynet was there.
Yeah, Skynet, right?
Oh, is that what AI is? And then so I went and met this professor at Arizona State, and he was doing actually a project with FAA at that time.
Okay.
To do predictive landing patterns. This was in 95.
That makes sense. Because the aviation industry is very heavy into automation. I mean, I took a class called The Human Factors in Aviation. Is literally, if you automate too much, the pilot falls asleep and you fly into a mountain. And if you don't automate enough, the pilot falls asleep out of exhaustion and flies into a mountain.
So he gave me like a little bit of a small version of the project. So the programming language was Lisp, LISP. It's almost like a blob. You start feeding the data and it starts expanding and start to reanalyze and then give you the output. Pretty much the same concept.
Yeah.
But the computing power was really expensive. So we had to reserve a cycle on the mainframe to run our program in the nighttime.
Oh, wow.
Where it's not bringing everybody else down. And so I was able to get enough cycles to start feeding like samples of data and let it run through and spit out. And like in FAA, even at the time, if it takes too long to compute or analyze and give you the data, it got to be almost instantaneous, right? We're looking at 2026, the computing power is much more powerful.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about AI since then. And what really happened in the last maybe even 2 years, it became very economical, right? We can crunch through.
Became economical, yeah.
So before that, most of the AI was very good logic, very good algorithms that could run through. It wasn't learning as much as fast. So with that, when we had to pivot too, last year we invested a lot into the AI side, but the easiest one is to kind of sign up with one API and, plug it into your data and start spitting out, like responses and say, we have the AI. And I'm like, what is that extra value? What is that going to give us? So I challenge our team to come up with like private LLM, self-contained, only reading at our data. It doesn't need to know everything going on in the world.
Yeah.
It just needs to know what's happening in that group.
It's like intelligent enough AI, right?
Exactly.
It's like,
maybe don't teach it too much.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we decided we don't want to mix the data from groups either. Because what it's learning in a group in the Northeast versus in California, it's not the same learning patterns. So we feed the data, but it's actually going to come up with the different answers because it's actually taken into consideration the timings or brand, the value, the customer base, all that stuff. So it took us 6 months to kind of spit out the first really intelligent answers. And that's when the bulb, went off and say, our AI is going to do things that we used to take a lot of reports to give the output. Like, for example, take that nightly summary, right? We send this report. How many did we do? All of a sudden, what are the other questions? How did we do last year?
Yeah.
So when you start asking the questions, instead of having to go run the same report, change the time, we can now use AI to give all those answers. So we start creating this topic library. So you open up a nightly summary report, you can say, compare it to last month.
Yeah.
Show me a trend on this. Is the new units the only thing that is, going up? All these questions now could be used by.
That makes sense.
So that's how our product evolved. So it's not a separate product. We don't rebrand our company as Axel.ai.
Yeah.
Because it's a part of the product.
But based on the true concept, and I think the real strategy is that clean data provides strong strong AI.
At the SOTCon, somebody said the foundation for a really good AI product is going to be the underlying unified data. And then I was like clapping.
The only guy clapping.
That's exactly where we went. We didn't have a fancy interface to present, but the amount of effort we put in to kind of get to the underlying. And also he said normalized data. That's the other key.
Normalized data, yes.
Because if you start putting a bunch of raw data, it's going to take more and more time to learn.
Yeah.
And this whole word hallucination in AI space is real.
Yeah.
And even us, we're looking at and I said, okay, let's kind of make it really simple.
Yeah.
Just start feeding very small chunks.
Yep.
Get rid of the hallucination. Start making it to respond. So if you ask how many new cars I sell last year the same month, that doesn't need to feed 12 months of history.
Yeah.
If we can feed at a lower level. So when we start adding components like this, now we rebuild a lot of these data models for the reports into manageable AI chunks.
Yeah. So they're almost like agentic little pieces of a larger. You said, "Hey, you're going to be the fixed ops agentic little bot,
agent,
right? Little agent that goes onto it." So the data is going to be a lot more accurate based on your data set, not the world's data set, and answering.
And then we start connecting those agents and say, all of a sudden, I switch a question, it knows where to go and get the answers. So from that aspect, I looked at. I went to the auto industry AI conference, the first of its kind, last week, and I was kind of curious to see what's coming out. And the software is coming out fast.
Oh,
right!
It's so dangerous.
It's like there are so many companies. I'm not, saying any good or bad or anything, but there are so many ideas. All of a sudden, they're all coming to reality, right?
Yeah, and then any person with an internet connection can vibe code their way into uploading CRM data, and then suddenly you got a data breach.
It's a funny thing. I saw a product, and the guy next to me said, "Oh yeah, I can rebuild that in 10 days." And I looked at him and I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I can build the same thing in 10 days." And then that's when I started realizing what is going to be the differentiator, because people are going to start able to build if you give them all the components in 10 days.
Yeah,
you sign up with cloud and all that stuff. You can build application. In fact, there was a fun exercise during the first day. We all sitting down and going through the exercise, and a solution, including the front end, everything got done in 30 minutes in that session.
Yeah,
and we're like, okay, so it's here. You're going to have all this development. So what's going to be? So somebody asked a question. So what's going to be automated SaaS world going to look like in 2 years?
Yeah, the SaaS apocalypse, right?
And then somebody said, why 2 years? What about 1 year?
Yeah.
Are we going to wait 2 years? And then everybody's like, we can't tell. But it may not be exactly SaaS model. It's going to adapt to use the AI, right?
Yeah, it's going to be like AI as a service type of situation where you have chunks, pre-built out chunks that you put in. The piece that I've been thinking about a lot lately is like, we come as IT guys, right? It's like you walk into a dealership and some programmer or some guy that was an IT guy that was a service manager wrote his own code about gas tickets, and then he left. And he's like, our gas ticket systems collapsed, and that's going to happen times 100 with whoever's creating these micro little bots that are going to morph into these unruly monsters that people are going to, the car industry has 40-60% turnover rate.
Mm-hmm.
So the people are going to leave with these pieces, and your data you're not going to know what's connected to your database. Like it's, I think, an impending disaster that's going to come.
Yes, but I don't want to look at it more from that that view.
Apocalyptic, apocalyptic view.
Couldn't say fast enough, but the responsibility is going to be what needs to happen now, because one of the guys in that conference said, in the next couple of quarters, there's going to be a huge data breach. Not necessarily in the automotive industry, it could be anywhere.
Yeah.
And somebody somewhere will say, oh, we didn't know we fed the data to the AI. And even with the best of intentions, it is growing so fast. Last week's models are not good this month, and who's wanted, they want to win the race to the finish line, so they're be anxious to put out something to say, hey, we got this product. And he said that's going to create a little bit of reset for us.
Yeah.
and how the data is going to be shared.
Yeah.
And that's where we feel really good. We're going to bring it back to reality and say one place and one AI engine.
Yeah.
You don't need 20 products using 20 different LLMs, and they're all analyzing using their own algorithms and coming back with that data.
And I think the important part is that it's agentic. So what that means for people that don't know what we're talking about on the A side is that it's just a small AI engine that is cut off from the internet, and it's only on your server, on your data. So it's like, you have this little nuclear reactor for your data, right? It's not like you're going to have a massive radioactive spill out there because you're connected and somebody can create a problem.
In fact, you want to create those small agents because you want to contain the data. You don't want it to read everything. Financial data shouldn't be in any of these containers. No. And then to add to that, remember when we set up the Axel One data, we were using the users' roles. What do they have access to? We need to apply the same exact to the AI too.
Yeah, that makes
Just
sense.
because the data is there, you can say, hey, how much is my boss making?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's the pay plan for my general manager over the last 2 years?
That's
like,
the first thing that they will deviate
Of course.
To. So the guardrails had to be built at the user level, the department level, the dealership level, at the group level.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, I can put up a much fast product in AI tomorrow, but again, I had to go back and look through all these little nuances because we put that together. And remember, that's where you and I started talking about.
Yeah.
And I said, we have the responsibility to protect all this data.
Correct.
And I don't think we could do this by ourselves.
Yeah.
So we need to start partnering with people that are in the cybersecurity infrastructure, the MSP services, like the turnover, who has access to it.
Who has access.
Remember, like we use the Windows login, so when somebody leaves, the access gets cut off.
Yeah.
And I think that is still true, and it's going to be more important in future.
Oh, absolutely. It's the human is always the vulnerability, right? It's like the human and the management of stuff and what's even more dangerous in this world is that everything becomes an assumption. It's like, oh yeah, that's protected. And then it's like out of sight, out of mind. And I think you're in that next 6 months that something's going to happen because about our partnership with the guys from Dimium, that they come from the data like the AI gateway security from the intelligence community. It's a big deal, and man, they're saying that there's leaks everywhere.
I still get some pushback on how we set up our product access into firewall. Like I come to you and say, what is the dealership's network? We only allow access to based on where they're at. There's still so much software out there that you can log in using your simple username and password with no restrictions that has customer data, financial information data.
Yeah.
The guy said, oh, I'm traveling. I'm in a hotel room. I want to access Axel One. I'm like,
yeah, no.
Don't ask me. Ask your ID guy. Yeah. In fact, we kind of, put the responsibility back on the security policies of the dealership and said, if your IT guy signs off that my so-and-so can have access from anywhere in the world without a VPN and a MFA, then it's not my responsibility. It's going to be their responsibility. But
it's like, just sign right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Releasing me of all liability.
And so right from the beginning, we started using their security for login, MFA, whatever they use, and their VPN and their security policies, retention policy, who has access and all that. People are like, why do we need all this? And it's like, that's where a solid implementation needs to look at all these aspects. If I hesitate and run through the implementation quickly and don't do all the work, in the long run, it's going to come back and bite us somewhere that we didn't look at this one. We now during Discovery ask all these questions. Yeah. And so far, nobody said, I want to open up this to everybody.
Once they understand the liability, what it looks like,
And if it wasn't an option, where it said, hey, you can only access to a URL, and I don't have another option, maybe you will think. And like I said, the data breach and all that imminent threat is back up a lot of people's mind now than ever before. So they're also asking the questions like, how is this secure? There was one guy that said, we don't want to really take the responsibility of having the data in our own premises because it opens up a lot of liability and all that.
Yeah.
And so we had to show them the measures that they're not going to. In fact, it's more secure.
Yeah.
They will have a copy of their database.
Exactly.
Anything happens outside their environment, they're not going to be out of business. We never go in and try to sell the fear factor.
Yeah.
But we're selling the comfort factor.
Correct.
Knowing that if anything happens, there is something here.
Yeah, it's the peace of mind aspect of it. I mean, there was a lot of dealers that were with a large CMS data breach that happened, a couple of years ago. Everybody was out of business, and there was some people that didn't have access to their data that they were like literally stopped for 3 weeks, that was really rough.
We saw a lot of piece of paper. We went back to 1960s.
Yeah.
Let's talk about deal sheet. Oh, that's a real physical deal.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. And some people were like, I don't know how to write a deal. Like, I have no idea. It's like, yeah, you can do this. And like writing up repair orders on by hand and doing all that stuff. Like we had some groups that stopped altogether and were like, hey, we can give you kind of these sheets and do this stuff, do it this way. And there were other ones that were like Johnny on the spot. They didn't miss a beat. They didn't lose productivity in sales or in service. Like, it just depends on the operational maturity of the organization.
But that also added that little need for assurance.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have full control to say, if I want to take my ball home and I want to go home and I want to go with somebody else, and not have the liability as well. Like, if you're going to secure your environment, that's that. But if you're going to say, oh, I'm going to go with another provider where you put it in their data center or their cloud or their whatever, they have control of it. And in the fine print of that paperwork somewhere, it's going to say, well, you got a trickery of what that's going to look like, right? So that could potentially 100% be the case. But if you own your infrastructure and you said, this is yours, if you want to grab this and you want to get your own development team and then build that stuff out, then go for it. You already have the data. It's already organized. It's already been built out for you. I don't see why somebody would do that because the product's great, but that you have at least that comfort and that peace of mind that can be a possibility.
The last thing that I was going to finish up in that whole SaaS, what the software with AI is going to, even the dealers are like, am I going to pay for this, per user license fee, or can I just build it with AI myself? It's almost the question comes up, right? So you will build a guy, you pull a guy from the backup and say, hey, this one is a $1,500 a month. Can you build it? And they're all going to say, oh yeah, I can build that for you, right? Yeah. So it's tempting, but there is also those inherent risk of what are they signing up, what LLM or what the model they're using, where they're uploading the data.
And it's worse because if that person leaves, you're grabbing something that's half baked or 40% baked, and you like suddenly a critical part of your organization is built on this wobbly bridge that some 22-year-old kid was vibe coding their way through. That's a recipe for disaster.
So I was thinking we should build a base for these dealers. It is your data layer. It is your infrastructure. It is your security layer.
Yeah.
Use this to build your solutions.
Correct. Exactly.
Don't start from scratch.
Yeah.
Don't go outside and sign up with something. I think that's where we can really take this to the next level. After that conference I was going to talk to you about is, I'm sure there is somebody that says, hey, this is my data. I'm going to build some, utilities on top of it.
Yeah.
But if we can give them this tool set that is, vetted
secure
out.
There's large language models don't have access to an MPI. Yeah. All the PI is protected, redacted, obfuscated, whatever that is. Like, absolutely.
And then if they use that environment to build in that private, you're much more secure and you should be comfortable.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like in a year from now, maybe 6, it could be even weeks, there is going to be a consolidation.
Yeah.
Almost everybody, I've seen a lot of responders, communications, video, all these technologies changing, rapidly, right? Yeah. Who's going to survive? Who's going to have an advantage, unfair advantage?
Yeah.
Right? And who's going to be able to charge enough? Like, is it going to be $10 enough? And then the other one is even the computing power is cheaper now.
Yeah.
If you sign up with a paid model, an API model, it's going to start adding up the bill too.
Yeah,
so that's one of the
absolutely.
reasons the private,
Yeah.
LLMs are going to be affordable in the long
Yeah.
run. There are a lot of users.
Yeah.
And if you want to give every person in your dealership access to the AI, everybody says, hey, how AI going to help my job?
Yeah.
We definitely need to provide this to our customer base and say, we giving you the infrastructure, we giving you the private, agents and LLMs, we giving you data.
Yeah.
So start demanding that your vendor is going to use this to reduce your cost.
So I'm I have half of mine that's like, that if there was that MIT article that showed up talking about 95% of AI companies, and it was like last year, right, that failed to provide value or ROI because they're dealing with the front end of the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're creating all these new visualizations and stuff. It's like, that's like, my suspicion is that we're looking at the problem the wrong way, right? Is that the value is in the 5% that you can say, I don't necessarily care what happens on the back end as long as I get served up the best data at the right time, right? So, I've always had this example, like a BDC agent, right? It's like, do you want the BDC agent to be replaced, or do you want them to go, or do you want the AI side to go through the 3,000 leads that they have and serve you up the 10, 15 people that you're going to create a human connection with, that you can provide a lot of value to, that you can put them in the right car, that you're going to create a customer for life, that you're going to build a lasting relationship with them and be their go-to person. It's like, I want AI to be empowering all the mundane stuff that it's great at pattern recognition. It's looking at that side of the business rather than replacing the person that's in front of you.
That article is exactly what I kept saying. Maybe initially, let's say you implement an AI solution, they're going to say 25% increase in response rates, whatever those metrics are.
Yeah.
Maybe first month, maybe second month. Is that going to be 25% every month going forward?
No.
There is not enough efficiency to be gained.
Yeah.
So that's where yes, our calls increased, response rate increased. We are making another 5% more on the service drive. Those areas are still there to gain, but that's not a product that's going to do that, day in and day out.
Yeah.
And the 95%, some of them may actually give you some instant improvement.
Yeah.
Right. But it's tough to sustain. And I cannot charge you a big monthly fee showing that 1 month, 2 month, or maybe 3 months. Right. You and I know, like, the market is saturated enough that a store that is selling 200 cars is not going to get to 300.
Yeah.
Unless it's some major revolution, right? Because the market share, the competition is all right. Even in service, you can make more money. You can do mobile servicing. You can sell parts, but you're not going to grow a significant percentage, right? So when you buy the software, when you implement AI, the cost of software should eventually be showing up in the long run too.
Yeah.
And where that efficiency is going to show up and say, it's not going to replace the humans, but your example of BDC, what are you trying to gain from that?
Exactly. And there's something to be said, and I was having this conversation on my morning clubhouse rooms. It's like, what for your PMA is sustainable? Like in your PMA, you have this market rate. It's like this at the humming, like the Goldilocks zone of this is going to be a 270 store. Mm-hmm. And so maximize 270, right? Maximize the grosses, maximize the back end, maximize your customer retention, maximize the customer journey and the experience, maximize the herd that you're getting to. It's like, we're going to stay at that 270 and make this a machine that can hum along at a 270. Maybe you're in a mega market that you can be, there's some stores down here in South Florida that are 1,200, right? That's they're monsters, right? Yeah. Those are crazy operations. But what is that? Because there's 9 million people in South Florida, right? But if you're in a small town, you're going to be like, this is the thing, and we're going to make great margins at this, and it's going to be an efficient and effective operation.
That word efficiency is what the whole technology is going to give you.
Yeah.
The other one I heard about is the customer experience. Like, I can now tell you if an email or response is AI or somebody wrote it, right? Yeah. Even if there is little variations and all that. People are going to get used to it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
If I get a immediate response like, oh, did somebody actually look at my message within the
Yeah,
2 second time frame I sent and wrote this long
yeah,
email?
yeah,
So still the human element is going to be important. And SO2Con was
Yeah.
also the human element, the year of the human. And when you can implement that, a better experience, the loyalty factor when they're going to come back and start analyzing the data more crunch and say, John's been with me 11 years. He consistently bought the cars. Let me take care of him, a little bit better and, make that connection with you. And we started analyzing the commercial customer data for one of the groups I work with.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, there were a few names that missed because they went to different stores. Then we put it together. And they're like, these guys are top 5.
Oh, wow.
Not like top 10 in 3 or 4 stores. If you add those 3 or 4 stores,
Yeah.
because they were purchasing and in a different phone number, nobody can put that together. That's where we put the AI data and say, this got to be, your priority to take care of them.
Yeah.
And then the other question we use the AI to say, give me the top 5 customers for my group or my store. If you go and ask me and say, hey, do you know your top 10 customers? The GM will go, yeah, I can give you 1 or 2 names. It's not their fault, but they don't have access to the data in a way to say, hey, this is a good customer. This is a valuable customer.
The customer center insights are next level. I mean, that is to be able to have, and for people that don't know on the podcast, right, that are listening, is Axel has a customer insight or a customer center, right, that has lifetime value of the customer, how many times they showed up at service, how many times they showed up in sales, what they responded to, what their lifetime value score rating is over. It's like, okay, give me the customers that are a lifetime value of 80 or above that have never bought tires from us, right? It's like, are you going to market and send mailers to the customers that are a 5 lifetime value score or a 10 lifetime value score that are, when they get those mailers, are going to go like this into the trash, right? They're going to throw those things away. You're literally wasting money. It's like, how do we better deploy capital to acquire the customers or take a customer that's a 60 to a 65 and bring them to a 70 to a 75? The value proposition in that stuff and that you can actually quantify the health of the herd really gets exciting with kind of segmenting that data and how you guys are looking at it.
And I admit that we probably hasn't exploited all the data in the customer center to the fullest extent yet, because there's not, there's CDPs, there's a lot of marketing agents, there's a lot of activity going on in there. But recent conversations, some of them we had, very exciting in that aspect. Imagine the scenario. You get 100 people to the service drive. Out of the 100, how many are your VVIP customers that came in today?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, maybe you can run a report, but how would you embed in the process?
Yeah.
The service advisor gets a screen or report saying that, hey, when these 5 people show up, go get the GM.
Yeah.
Have him come and just say, hey, good to see you again. How is this doing? And then give him the data saying that, hey, I know you still have your 2 or 3 cars. Give him all the data on the screen, the screen to, talk more sensibly.
And I was talking to Brad Wise about this at Furman, and I was like, what if you could say, today your service is complimentary? Customers spent $600,000 with the organization. Like, we're going to spend
or we took
$400 on. We took. Exactly. We're going to upgrade you to the most luxury truck that you have because you have this super valuable customer, and that glaring, this customer value is a 95. They service with you, they buy with you, they traded vehicles with you, they gave you reviews, they give you the contextual information of everything that you're doing.
But see, right now, we have this loyalty and point system in everywhere, right? Yeah. Airlines, hotels, even sandwich shops, right? A lot of the dealership tried it, like a rewards program or loyalty program. Now, I haven't seen one that is groundbreaking yet because the complexity, the touch points are slower. You come in for service maybe 2 times a year, so it's not volume based. So they attempted and they left it out. I think it still needs to be, like you said, the VVIP.
Yeah.
Add to Apple Wallet. John is my VV.
Yeah.
And I come to the dealership, I scan it, all of a sudden the lights go off and balloon.
Yeah.
It's going to make you feel special. And even the most, the customers that can afford all these freebies, it's not about the freebie, right? It's not the free sandwich like the alien in Seinfeld. is the feeling, right?
The personalized touch.
Personalized touch.
Yeah.
Hey, that the rental car is on us because I'm like, oh, good. They know that I'm a valuable customer.
Or you get a gift card for $500 for the Capitol Grill and said, like, to take you and Mrs. Whitmore to dinner, or Mrs. Jones to dinner, and you guys get we'd love to give that on us.
Yeah. One of my first customers that I was talking to that came up early in the conversation, they now do this for their top, they call it, I think, the top 100 across the entire 40 groups.
Okay.
They even have them like a luxury experience that they can come and stay 2 days or 3 days on us. They send this email saying that, hey, come to Vegas on us, go stay at the
Wow. Jeez.
They calculate the value to say, and when those guys call, they don't even ask any questions.
Yeah, but concierge, like a concierge desk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bring in the car whenever you're comfortable, Mr. Customer.
We'll go pick it up for you. Don't even worry about it. Like, when's comfortable for you, we'll go do the white glove service for you.
And as the technology improves, the online, competition comes in, the mobile service comes in. These are the small things that are going to help you retain that customer. You mentioned that 270, per store. Even you can stay at 270, but most of your customers are your high value paying customers.
Yes.
Doesn't cost you a lot more to acquire new customers, retention. That's where I think we need to, help the guys with our data to say, we may not help you to sell another 100 cars, but we'll help you to kind of increase your profit margin.
Of course.
We'll help you with retention.
And Brad Wise talks about this. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep in the bucket.
It's so funny you mentioned about the tires. I asked the dealer, one of the dealers said, why tires, right? There's so many tire places. Selling your tires from the dealership is a sign of loyalty. So they're actually trusting you.
Yep.
So you really don't need to make or mark up, because that says, hey, I'm not going to take care of everything. You don't need to leave here, try it on the street and ask another guy and compare shop and all that. At the end of the day, it may be $1 or $2 difference, but look at the confidence that it comes.
They sell it at cost. Yeah. Like for tires, like we'll sell it at cost, but the upsell and the relationship, and that's really because you build the confidence to say, my mom's a very, very particular buyer, right? She wants to deal with Jim at the Honda place, right? She has a Honda CRV, brand new Honda CRV that she brought from Mergado store, right? And she's like, I want to deal with Jim. And that's the only guy and I'm like, no, he takes care of me when I go there. But she has something that is worth $1 billion. He has her trust, right? That he's going to take care of her and he's going to put the winter tires. She lives in Chicago, right? So he's going to put on the winter tires, or he's going to take care of her and everything and stuff. That trust is all the value.
We do that in other places. The cell phone company we stick to, an airline company, a hotel brand we stick to. As soon as you feel that trust factor.
Yeah.
So buying tires and all that stuff, I think all this noise about, things are cheaper, the dealers actually charge you more, all that happened maybe a long time ago.
Yeah.
Nowadays, with everything transparent, I'm still a brand loyalist.
Yeah.
I will go back to that dealership or only to the brand one just because I know the fact that they will take care of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we all know, everybody, even at like independent service shops and all those guys, can do a good job. Yeah. But if it's a new car, like if it's an asset, nowadays what car is what? $50,000 to $100,000. Yeah.
It's a huge investment. It's the second largest purchase that you'll make in your life. It's massive.
Yeah.
It's absolutely massive. So what are you seeing of what the next
evolution?
Next evolution, what do you think that this is going to go to of what you're seeing in the market?
I actually feel really good about where we're at. I think the evolution is going to happen so fast. All the things that we never thought are possible are going to get, reality soon. Oh, I never had visibility to the data. I never able to do this. All those things are going to happen. We're at the forefront of having the data and the right technology. Yeah. We need to start watching what's going to happen in the industry. Like in 2020, it was about no cars. And then we went through multiple phases, tariffs, extra. We have to be in a place where we can react to that.
Yeah.
And I think we feel like we can react to that. What is everybody is going to look at in the next, I said this in Fixed Ops interview, expense control. Not necessarily go and slash everything. But if you really, really look at small, minute expense cuts, that's where your margin is going to be.
Yeah.
One of the guys said my uniform guy charges me, I don't even know. It's almost like I had to keep watching on it. But if we started using the technology to put those guardrails where they don't need to think about, hey, I need to go and check what my expense is, we're going to proactively analyze and say, hey, here's the 5 things that you need to be looking at.
Well, here's the biggest thing: advertising. It's by far the biggest expense in the organization, and you don't even know if it's working. So it's like, you sold 270 cars. Why did you sell 270 cars?
Yeah.
Like, those are the dangerous questions that people like get real. It's like, well, everybody attributes a little bit to that, to that lead source. It's like, no, it came up from a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and what it touched everything is like, if you can't see, and the part that really kind of blew my mind is opening the Google Analytics side and then putting that in the same screen. It's like, well, now I can see my advertising. I can see how much we're spending for that lead and what the source channel. I'm not a marketing guy, but like, see that source channel is like, we're spending all $25,000, $30,000, $50,000 on these channels, and this is what the how they're landing on our page. It's just the ROI is not there, and there's so much money that's lost and leaked in the organization because of that.
Yeah.
That contextual data is what's really powerful.
The problem there was there were so many players. It was tough to normalize the data.
Yeah,
there was no detail. If you say I spent 25,000 on Google, on Google, unless it was completely tracked and tagged and all that stuff. So there's still a lot of gray area. You're right. That is another area that we can show more and more data analysis for them to make a decision. I'm one of those guys that will never come and say this technology is bad or the technology is good. It's like, we don't want to push it. Let the information be the source that they make their decisions.
Yeah.
I won't go and say, don't, spend money with that guy or, spend here.
Yeah.
If you look at your data and then you go, this is converting at this percentage, and all of a sudden you can make the decision yourself.
Exactly. It's just the power of context.
That's what we want to do with the data, using AI to say, show activation of the data. You don't have to run the report. One of my friends, Joe Shaker, said, your tagline is, stop running reports, start talking to your data.
Yeah.
Remember that we used it in ADA?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
If you're a dealer principal, if you ask the data, what is the next 2 or 3 areas that I need to start focusing?
Yeah.
And we analyze the data and say, based on the trend, these lines in the income statement seems to be a little, if you start giving those kind of analysis right away, real time, using AI technology, they're going to be sitting there and talking to it.
Yeah. Well, this is the piece that blew my mind the most. Is so we're partners with Go2Connect, right, on the phone system. It's like, it's not doing AI receptionist. It's not doing AI on the person picking up the phone. It's doing the sentiment analytics. So you're saying when little bubbles will pop up of like, you had 3,000 calls this month, and the bubbles are, some are green, some are red, and the red one will say WEO. Like, we have a WEO problem, right? Talk to your manager, talk to your sales manager and say, we got a WEO problem, and we've had 400 calls of somebody getting really pissed off about the dealership about a WEO problem. The mental real estate and the overhead that it took to look at all those calls and to figure out, you'd have to say to your sales manager, say, have you listened to all the calls today? It's like, no. You don't want them to be listening to the calls. You want them to have a dashboard, and you want them to look at the heat cases and the biggest bubbles of sentiment to say, we have the WEO problem. Oh, we're good at setting appointments and scheduling appointments. Loaner car may be red, and like, hey, we got a loaner car problem. We may have a problem with scheduling. Our online scheduler might be broken, and getting the data points so you can do and manage and be as effective as possible. And I've always had a problem with the word efficiency. Like, the word efficiency kind of has like doing more with less. Like, I want to be effective. I want to be efficient in movement. Like a swimmer to say, I want to make the most outcome with the minimum amount of movement.
I'm completely in alignment with that. But the only slight difference there is, if you say that's bad, it's red, how are you going to help them to fix it?
Yes.
Right? And there's a lot of tools out there that is already doing the sentiment red and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's going to get overwhelming. I'm going to see a bunch of red bubbles when I come in the morning. I have VO problem. I have a point. But that's where I think we need to connect the data to show the trend or areas and give it a little bit more solid, reference or context, the word you used multiple times. To say, yes, you may have a VO problem, but is it related to a single person? Let's look at the calls.
Yes.
It could be one guy in the whole mix could be causing those red bubbles. It's not a problem across the dealership that we need to, pull the fire alarm saying that we have a problem. And that is where, again, connecting the data to it is the first part is already now done tremendously efficient already. I see in the products where the sentiments and analyzing call logs and all that's happening all there. So that's when I asked one of the guys, I said, what are you going to do next?
Yeah.
Don't start throwing a bunch of dashboards with like numbers saying that you had 7% call with red. Great. All that is going to be that analysis of data is going to happen so fast in the coming weeks. You need a structure for the guys to start addressing one by one based on the impact to the business too.
Yeah.
Sometimes, there could be a lot of noise, but it's not really a problem.
Yeah. If everything's a problem, then nothing's a problem, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, everything's red, everything's on fire. And that's the part that I like about the context. It's like, if you see it in a couple different places, if you see it in your CSI scores, if you see it in your phone system, if you see it in your financial data, if you see it in Axel, you see it in everywhere, you're like, okay, there's a problem here. This is going to, and what I'd love to see Expert do in the future is to be like, we've seen this in a couple places, like top priority issue, and not create 700 alerts, just create 1 or 2 or 3 alerts because there's alert fatigue.
Yeah, ranking them by priority.
Exactly.
A human being is only going to be analyzed 5, maybe 10.
And and to say, like, if this is where your biggest opportunity is to deal with this, and it's going to move the needle the most.
Exactly. That's the word I was using for biggest opportunity.
Biggest opportunity, yeah.
No, so to bring it together, I think where it's going to happen, like you asked where we see this happening, we're going to have a lot of opportunities to help with our data.
Yeah.
Even we had to look at the biggest opportunities.
Yeah.
Where do we want to provide some help right away?
Yeah.
Rather than trying to build all these products, some could be like just bells and whistles, but it may not move the needle. We're going to start focusing on what's moving the needle.
Yeah.
And we want to be very agile. Yeah. And our product's now going to evolve. In the Discord, it's so funny. It's like, what is your pain points? When you start asking that itself gives you the playbook, right?
Of course.
They will tell you. Yeah. Right.
Even
just
have to ask.
Yeah. And it's fun. I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. Yeah. Looking at the problem solving ability to using the data. And if we can stay in that lane, I don't think you will ever run out of problems. It's not going to be like, hey, I have 0 problems.
Yeah. As long as they're people, they're systems, we can solve them.
There's always going to be something.
Yeah, there's always going to be something. So, Prasad, what is a question that you think that I should have asked you, or something a topic that you want to cover?
I think you covered a lot. We talked about the data vulnerability, the security, what's coming in, what's coming in the future. I think one thing that we should ask every one of our common customers or prospects is to start doing an audit or set up a AI policy.
Yeah.
As much as it sounds like a compliance kind of a document thing, I think just to even ask the question, there are a few organizations doing that already. Mm-hmm. Where are you at? Where you should be go, and give them a blueprint to kind of follow. Yeah. Because if you start embracing it too fast and then you just don't follow the steps, we don't want to regret. So you guys can really help with that audit aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, red teaming AI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets interesting.
So I think, we should talk to everybody and say, not from a scaling perspective, again.
No, from
we want to cover, cover all the bases. So that is something that we should be putting in front and center in our conversations.
Yeah. And from a place of responsibility and from a place of creating momentum and alignment in the organization and all the organizations that we serve, I think that's a opportunity.
If I ask that question, it sounds like, hey, here is a vendor that is asking the question. Whereas if it is actually part of like your MSP or you're in charge of, if you say, hey, we're already helping you to build a solid platform with no vulnerabilities, I think that'll be a huge impact. And we need to push that.
Yeah,
with everybody
we do. Prasad, thank you, man. This has been outstanding. I know
it's been fun.
Wanting to do this for a while.
So. Our paths crossed, in a way that it mutually beneficial, right?
Yeah,
I never want to be in your space. I don't know, the MSP,
Yeah.
The more I can take my mind off the security part and, the technology, how fast is evolving the service and all that. I really want to focus on that side. I'm glad you're in your space and I'm on my space. And I think this is a huge win-win for both of us.
I love it, man. And I've always been a fan of data, of Freakonomics, like the Freakonomics in the data. What is it going to look like? And I just think you guys are doing something really cool, man. We've been talking about for years, like moneyballing your dealership, man. What does that look like?
It's almost like one guy said, you tell me you already have all this. Like, yes, it is a reality. So.
It is a reality. That's cool. Prasad, how can people, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Nowadays, everybody is on the net, right? axelautomotive.com. But referrals is the best thing. And somebody asked me VTech and Axel Automotive logo at NIDA. And I said, you can find us through VTech's website or vice versa.
Yeah.
And we're going to work with other people. But axelautomotive.com is the place to find
Beautiful.
us. And also LinkedIn, right? Nowadays, we're all connected there and posting and sharing our thoughts.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the time, man.
Yeah. Thank you for watching and being with us today on this conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our channel.